Buonasera a tutti e benvenuti a un nuovo appuntamento di OGR YOU, il programma di formazione per giovani adulti a cura di Barbara Casavecchia con Sergey Kantsedal, che ormai è giunto alla sua seconda edizione, e questa sera abbiamo il piacere di ospitare Sophie Jung, un'artista di origine svizzera che oggi vive tra Basilea e Londra e che, come per tutti gli appuntamenti di OGR YOU, questo pomeriggio ha condotto un workshop a porte chiuse con i ragazzi che partecipano al progetto. Io lascio subitissimo la parola a Barbara, che introdurrà l'artista, e poi vedremo cosa Sophie ha preparato per noi. Buonasera.
Grazie mille. Here's the lovely Sophie. Ecco, sul palco c'è Sophie Jung. Io rileggo velocemente per tutti quello che avevamo preparato Sophie e io come introduzione al suo lavoro e che abbiamo pubblicato. Intanto il titolo della serata è For Want of a Better Word, a selection of past, present and future unscripts with uncomfortably long pauses and a song and a half by Sophie Jung. Che si potrebbe tradurre come in parole povere, ma anche come in mancanza di un termine più adatto, mentre il sottotitolo recita una selezione di passati, presenti e futuri non scritti, non copioni, con lunghe pause imbarazzanti e una canzone e mezza. Sophie interpreterà, e sto citando le sue parole, sia individualmente sia collettivamente, una selezione libera di alcuni brani tratti da suoi lavori precedenti, scritti per una gran varietà di ragioni, obiettivi e pubblici diversi, oltre a infarcirne le pieghi e possibili lacune con nuovi materiali improvvisati sul momento. Sophie Jung in questi giorni, letteralmente sabato, on Saturday, stava realizzando una performance in occasione di Freeze, e il titolo della performance è stata Taxpayers' Money. Ha realizzato molti progetti nell'arco dell'ultimo anno, come dramatis personae a Joan, Los Angeles. Nel 2018 invece una mostra dal titolo The Bigger Sleep al Kunstmuseum di Basilea e anche al Guggenheim and Block Universe di Londra. E poi l'anno precedente ancora mostre alla Constalle di Basel, al Centre Culturel Suisse di Parigi, la mostra Come Fresh Hell or Fresh High Water a Blaine Southern Londra, Producing My Credentials al Kunstraum di Londra, alla Constalle di St. Gallen, al Ballroom Marfa e via di seguito. Nel 2019 ha vinto lo Swiss Art Awards ed è al lavoro su un gruppo di sculture per una sua personale in programma nell'arco dei prossimi mesi al Casino Luxembourg, e poi un progetto che avrà luogo all'Istituto Svizzero di Milano. And that was just the biography. E per iniziare, io questa sera farò un po' il traduttore o un po' no, mi siedo qua nell'angolo del palco, scusate. Volevo fare a Sophie una domanda che c'entra molto con il lavoro che abbiamo fatto oggi pomeriggio insieme ai partecipanti al gruppo di OGR YOU. È stato un seminario, come tanti altri workshop che si svolgono in queste occasioni, e a un certo punto Sofia ha detto una frase che ci è servita per iniziare a lavorare insieme, e la frase diceva: il linguaggio è un ordine. So the sentence you said today as a sort of a starting point for the workshop was language is an order. And of course I would like to ask you to, well, comment around it and explain why language is an order or possibly a disorder in relation to your work and how much they relate. So, in che relazione questa frase, che sì, il linguaggio è un ordine o un disordine, si pone rispetto al suo lavoro, e in che modo ci può aiutare come introduzione per quello che verrà.
So I started by saying language is order, and immediately, well, I started the workshop by saying, please interrupt me if you disagree. So I'm actually also going to start this by saying, please interrupt me if you disagree or if you want to interject, or if you have a question, or if you have a comment, it's going to be quite free. Anyway. Oh.
I will interrupt you. Quindi Sophie diceva, ho iniziato il workshop dicendo il linguaggio è ordine e immediatamente, anzi volevo dire che ho iniziato dicendo in qualsiasi momento per favore sentitevi liberi nell'interrompermi e anzi volevo dire questa sera per favore in qualsiasi momento sentiate l'esigenza di interrompermi, per favore fatelo con domande, con richieste di chiarimenti, insomma sentitevi liberi perché insomma è questo lo spirito della conversazione.
Yeah, so I said language is an order and someone immediately disagreed.
Nel momento in cui ho detto il linguaggio è un ordine, qualcuno immediatamente non era d'accordo.
The sentence wasn't finished. I was going to say language is an order. It is the dominant order against which we have to write.
In realtà non avevo neanche finito la frase, cioè, la frase completa sarebbe stata il linguaggio è un ordine, è l'ordine dominante contro il quale we all have to
write.
Dobbiamo tutti
speak,
scrivere o parlare o
So language is order. Anything that has categories that we agree on is tidied. Language is a very tidy system of thought. And it's not my system and it's not your system, but it is a system that is imposed upon us.
Quindi il linguaggio è un sistema ordinato, che non è necessariamente, come dire, ordinato nel modo in cui uno o l'altro, ma è anche imposto, arriva con una serie di regole all'interno delle quali ognuno poi si ritrova a negoziare la propria posizione. Scusate, la mia traduzione finirà per essere un po' libera, scusatemi.
And I suppose it's very important to have categories temporarily to be able to communicate, not just in language, but in thought. But it's very important to keep these categories flexible and to constantly keep them unstable, because as soon as they oscillate, they become bigotry.
È importante che le categorie in base alle quali poi insomma definiamo il linguaggio, lo strutturiamo, siano mantenute flessibili e aperte e in qualche modo soggette alla mutazione, perché nel momento in cui le ingessiamo allora poi si trasformano in imposizione e anche insomma una posizione moralistica.
And I suppose this is a longer sentence than I give it back to you. When you have to tidy your wardrobe or you have to tidy up anything, if you're a chaos person like me, you think, okay, I'm going to tidy according to color. No, I'm going to tidy according to size. No, I'm going to tidy according to use. I'm going to tidy according... So there are all these tags according to which we can tidy. And very often there are bigger ones, smaller, and there are the small, tiny voices that don't fit any category, that are part of lived experience, that just don't fit, that are overlooked. So actually, in all my work, my aim is to bring all the minor voices, all the minor unfittings back in and make thought more complex.
Volendo fare un esempio, cioè se uno dovesse decidere di mettere in ordine il proprio armadio, ed è un esempio che faccio come persona anche, come dire, piuttosto incline alla confusione, uno potrebbe decidere di dividere i contenuti di quell'armadio, non so, in base al colore, in base all'uso, in base alla stagione, in base e via di seguito. Però finiranno sempre per esserci degli oggetti che in realtà si potrebbero categorizzare, insomma, utilizzando delle micro definizioni o insomma, in qualche modo che li assegnino a delle categorie non così macro, che di fatto poi è come se sfuggissero sempre alle trame di queste grandi suddivisioni per famiglie, e in effetti quelle voci sono quelle che a me interessano, cioè sono quelle che cerco di non eliminare dall'economia del linguaggio per reintrodurle nel modo che ho di lavorare. Hope so.
I've claimed the title that I'm anti-conclusionist, and I realize that's not actually something people... It's not that clear what it means to be anti-conclusion, but the thought was that anything that concludes... So people complain that my texts never finish, my talks never finish, you're probably going to walk out while I'm still talking. But anything that concludes draws the major voices together and ties a ribbon in the bottom, and again, doesn't allow for the smaller complexities.
Una delle cose che dico è che sono anticonclusionista, ammesso si possa usare questa parola in italiano, e forse non è sempre chiaro quello che cioè quello che intendo con questa definizione, perché in effetti sembra che, non so, i miei progetti, le mostre, i miei talk, le lectures non siano mai finite. Forse ve ne andrete quando io starò ancora parlando. Ma in effetti che cosa vuol dire arrivare ad una conclusione, no? Fare un bel fiocco alle cose in fondo, chiudere tutto alla perfezione, vuol dire in ogni caso, non lo so, non lasciare mai spazio a quelle piccole parti di cui si parlava prima, the small.
The ones that disagree, the ones that don't add
Le voci
up,
che
non,
in qualche modo non sono concordanti, quelle che insomma sono un po' fuori sincrono con tutto il resto, e invece quella parte di dissonanza è anche molto importante.
Enough questions?
Now I would have millions of questions.
I'm going to start the talk with a piece of writing I wrote a long time ago when I was asked to write about concentration, and because this is the one thing I cannot do, well, one of many things I cannot do, concentrate, I sort of try to write around concentration, and it is basically a text that describes my working methodology in the way through my working methodology. So it doesn't make sense, but it does make sense in its plurality. And I am the figure of the private investigator, as an artist, private investigator.
Ok, la conversazione inizierà con un pezzo che ho scritto tempo fa, quando mi è stato chiesto per cortesia di mettere per iscritto che cosa io facessi, e in particolar modo in relazione al tema della concentrazione, perché concentrarmi è in effetti una delle tante cose che non riesco a fare. E quindi questo testo è stato il tentativo di dare un senso e dare una forma al mio modo di lavorare nel suo farsi, letteralmente, cioè, come dire, è un lavoro che parla di come lavoro, e la figura, o comunque l'identità che ho scelto di avere in relazione a questo testo è quella dell'investigatore privato. Solo una piccola nota di servizio: io non posso, come capirete, tradurre tutto quello che dice Sophie, perché è impossibile. Io tradurrò solo ed esclusivamente le sue introduzioni, e il resto del testo sarà tutto suo, perché non è fatto solo di parole ma anche di suoni, di ritmi, di interruzioni, di gaps e di un sacco di altre cose. Quindi, cosa oggi?
It was about 11 o'clock in the morning, mid-October. I was wearing my powder blue suit with dark blue shirt, tie, display handkerchief, black brogues, black wool socks with dark blue clocks on them. I was neat, clean, shaved, and sober. And I didn't care who knew it. Okay, I start like this for a reason. Cold start, cold sober, stone cold sober, and none of these will be a leitmotif or one, just a bit. Hazard a guess if I manage to make it that is time will tell you off for thinking this could be anything but not chronological. Above all, footnote, I'm not trading in motifs though. I mean, just to get that out of the way, Fashion police. The socks. No false expectations, I'm sorry. Someone I once knew once said, your how beats my why. I stuck with it. Music. You with your rings on your fingers and time on your hands is what he sings as we're driving down a semi. And why not country road? And why not have a country song matching a country road sometimes? And I never listened to his lyrics, and now I realize he's a wordsmith. Because I thought about it. And a good writer is something different. A good songwriter means a lot of things, but somebody who's capable of making tasteful, less twists of tongue is what I decided is a wordsmith. I make twists of tongue. He's very into it, but not while we're driving, he says. My linguistic turn puts him off, he says. He says that, well, once after a near-death experience. But then what a thing to have had. It's pretty priceless. Listen, I am a W.H. Smith, as I sell a lot of things. Tell me what you like, I'll make it. That's the kind of artist I am. Always acutely aware of my audience. Always acute and aware. Wolf, girl, girl. What's your happiness index? I heard on BBC4 there is no such thing. I could have told you that, but then I haven't got the broadcasting authority. I do have broadcasts, but I use them for other things, like making any kind of art you like, any. You name it, and I rename it, as I'm in charge of titles, thank you very much. If you think you can get into my designation, you're barking up the wrong tree. You're staring at the wrong bark. Bark. Not. Me, not. Dimensions vary, 1982. Listen, I'm a bit of a sniffer dog. Not a wolf, more a sniffer. You know, the classic. I don't know much about breeding, but I found that I'd like to call myself a mongrel. I detect things. But it's not up to me to say what, or I'm not up to it, or none of the above, or anyone's business. I am an eye, a private eye. Would you take me seriously if I was publicly funded, a taxpayer's investigator? I think not. I think I'll go private and find out for myself and my pecunious clients, as, you know, that's what artists do. Let's call things by their proper name. Index to title, I haven't found what I'm looking for. And I don't know what I'm looking for. What's more? But I've got a lead. I've got some role to play. I called it Cop Out, Dick In, #Unleashed, to quote every detective that's ever been on late night television. Something remembered something in that conversation was important, but something can't remember for the life of me what it was, and something, and by the end of the show, somebody says something unrelated, cut to and on his stone cold sober, for now yet informed by a lifelong business partner, liquor, obviously. Facial structure twitchingly follow his memory back to that then not, but now so relevant place. And he's like, yes! And all the pieces come together like in a magnetic jigsaw puzzle that had the magnetism switched off due to rising electricity costs, etc. And then some rogue comes and switches it back on. Do they exist? It's a passive B move. Maybe I should patent it. See, that's the kind of work I do. I stumble across stuff. I sniff it out. I'm following a trail. Yeah. I think I mentioned that before, but then that was yesterday. I tell you, yesterday is a wind gone down, a sun dropped in the west. Yesterday is a cancelled check. And yesterday may well live in an altogether different era. I do still believe in before and after, rehab, refab, for all I'm concerned. And today I'm all new. Stone, fresh, clean, cut, sober, etc. The hunch. See, I go sniffing for quotes because that's a dumb job that any assistant can do, and as it is, I'm assisting my own brain right now. I mean, that flash of pure genius I had to disassociate myself from so as not to be held responsible. I cannot be held accountable. I can't even count most days as my hands are temporarily busy. I count one cunt and one private dick. To be honest, right now, I'm less of a wolf or a bear. I'm not even the funny monkey with his trumpet, you know? I'm a pantheist in this case. I've got many a role and a color. Like, I've just made myself pink. Like, as I said, private dick, private one-eyed clock, off, informal for face, got many a ring to myself like a private bell, and that cat now, just like that anyway. Anywho, done it. Damn it. Get to the point. Blank. That's my state. I use my status to remind myself of myself. Don't forget, Sophie Jung is... Enter. My status is thusly, I find quotes in detective novels. It's as easy as that. I already found one. See above. And above all, it's about proving my point, which is this. You space out and you see the whole picture. Because in outer space, all is fluid, I think, though I wasn't that composed myself when Dr. Professor Challenger talked me through it, right to the other end and back, to the moon and back, if you be my baby, and you're going to drop a beat, and I'm going to drop the link, and it's going to happen, but it's going to be for the greater good. And the trouble is finding, amongst all links, that one that gets you to the next one, the so-called solution. And you know anyone will do, but only one does do in the end, and that was the only one that was gonna do, the chosen one, by me, the right one. But then we all know that there's more to spatial taxonomy than just those two, of which you get one. It's an absolution, it's an A-B solution. Because obviously they're infinite ones and not just 26, but you've got to fix something somewhere. Anyway, epilogue, or whatever this is called amongst you literary people. Of course, I do have something to say on the matter, and if this was, you know, a BBC4 program, say, artists in their own words, I'd make sure that A, I would get myself a sophisticated studio as a background, which would necessarily have to be shot with a short depth of field so that I, for once in my life, am in focus. B, that I'd get to be shot with a long depth of track. I mean, back on track, I'd get my words all lined up and back on track, ready to perform the straight and efficient run. You may say linearity is not my cup of tea, but then I would say that linearity is not a cup of tea at all, as I've abandoned metaphors to the viewer's ranks for now. And anyway, you may run 100 meters, but then the track is still circular, so the potential to come back loopy is always there. C. But then I wouldn't actually be shot, because the detective genre is an analogy, and although we try and stay on track, nobody said anything about analog. It's still all about digits. I haven't given up on the ring, honey. D pi. So I start. Yes. Well, that's a splendid question. You see, I try to detect relevance. I fancy myself as a bit of a detective, you know, the classic 1940s noir type, you know, Bogart, say. I walk the streets at dusk and I ask a lot of questions. Or I sit and I listen carefully. I just know when something I see or hear has got relevance, when something will be of importance later on in the plot. I shall most likely not be able to place it, but I infallibly sense what will come to play a role. Think me queer, but you see, I just, for the life of me, cannot tell you why, or where, or when, for that matter. I simply have this compulsion to collect evidence, as it were. Yes, I certainly should say that I am a born artist, just as a snoop is a born snoop. Do people still use that term? Yeah? Though, of course, I would say that this is only a role that one assumes, and roles belong to the main body of the text and not this epilogue sequence to be aired later on in the year. Role expelled off his body, back onto the socks, rewind, back to the beginning, flashback, and here we go again. I intuitively sense when something has got potential. Let me call it potential, that radiates outside of its current status. It's a thing in itself and a piece of a larger ensemble, a bigger whole. Private dick. I'm sure I don't know what you mean. I'm sure you do, Missy. Listen, the core difference, and this is important, is that the private eye finds evidence to get to the solution, whereas in my profession, there is simply the resolution to compose a good riddle, the raw riddle. Crudities and cold cuts, and if you cut deep enough, you will find that my eye is essentially public. And I find clues to get to the bottom of a cast. No, let me put it differently, and that is the challenge. To continuously put it differently, and yet stay infinitely spot on. Switch on the spotlight while trusting in the ghost light. Precision within vastness. You must think me rather vague. But you see, that's the only way I can put it, or one of infinite ways. I mean, just look at this infinity of no, not like that. And then this expansive potential of yeses. I have to nose my way towards the right poise of potentials. Does that make sense? Oh dear. I must sound frightfully airy-fairy to you. Please do cut this out. So, okay, that's what I do. I work on pliable casts for you to put whatever paste you use in. I cut my losses, I lose my cut links, and yet this is the basic scenario for the perfect case itself. Puzzle your cross-examiners. Secret letters from the bottom of the ABC will, if cunningly placed, resurface just in time for you to crack and heal the well-heeled crosswords in the Times. Yes, I'd say the perfect case itself, 1968, is a precisely arranged assemblage that allows for an infinity of finite solutions. Time on my hands and clocks on my socks. Now, you see, this is a sentence that I found. I think it's rather beautiful, but I have absolutely no idea what it means. I don't know if this makes any sense to read the text like this. Can you show hands whether this is intelligible?
Non ho la benché minima idea se questo testo sia comprensibile o se abbia senso leggervelo così, ma qualcuno può alzare una mano se pensa che sia comprensibile? If any of it's kind of comprehensible, sort of the narrative line of it may not be.
Yes. Well, I think I'll stick with maybe more visual or
Ci sono
visual
anche
slash.
dei materiali visivi che ho portato, che sono relativi ad alcuni dei lavori. So where are we?
Where are we? Is the picture?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm a detective in that I sniff out things and I don't know what for. I just know that they will be relevant. So I actually sniff out real life objects.
Ok, come un detective io mi trovo ad annusare, andare alla ricerca delle cose e questo mi porta a trovare le tracce di oggetti reali che vengono dalla vita di tutti i giorni.
And I try and build up a case like you see in old cop, American cop series. I try and build up a case, and I've got my wall of, suspects and clues in the form of a huge collection of materials that I come across as I walk the streets, as wherever I go, I find objects, big, small, stolen, lent, borrowed, made.
E quindi come un detective di una vecchia serie americana in bianco e nero cerco di costruire un caso e è come se avessi tutte le mie prove o i tracce appiccicate al muro e in realtà le mie tracce sono degli oggetti che io assemblo e trovo, pesco, riciclo e via di seguito e tutti insieme costruiscono il caso, the case. All together they built.
Yeah. So I think I was going to talk about, I think I'll skip this. This was last week and maybe I don't have enough distance other than...
Questo è quello che ho fatto la settimana scorsa, ma forse è passato troppo poco tempo e quindi forse faccio solo vedere.
I will just list the materials and
farò solo un elenco dei materiali.
We have a trench coat which served me to be a Churchill quote. It served to talk about hierarchies in the army. It served to talk about aqua scrotum. We have a palm tree with which I could question the audience about the difference between peace and victory, because it stands for both peace and victory.
C'era un cappotto con il quale insomma, mi è servito per interpretare una serie di ruoli e porre una serie di domande. C'era un ramo di palma che ha sia il significato di pace sia di vittoria, che mi serviva per fare domande al pubblico.
There are little tanks. There is a self-righteous little boy, man, a mattress with signed traffic tickets collected in the 80s. So, traffic tickets collected, traffic tickets with autographs on them by celebrities, collected by a traffic warden in the 80s and used as a bargaining chip, so basically a leftover of corrupt dealings.
That's a difficult one.
Sorry.
C'è una figura di un ragazzino con un atteggiamento piuttosto, come dire, un po' prepotente, e sotto c'è questo materasso sul quale sono incollate delle multe che in realtà contengono le firme di alcune celebrità che sono state raccolte nel momento in cui veniva data loro una multa e che però insomma hanno più la funzione di, non so, una sorta di passaggi forse poco chiari, di favori o di corruzioni e via di seguito.
Then an anchor,
Un'ancora,
my cat's claws,
le unghie del mio gatto,
a pop shield, so that this doesn't pop, a door from a sunken boat,
una porta che veniva da
a spear,
una nave affondata, una sfera,
a piece of newspaper,
pezzo di giornale,
and more ripped pieces of newspaper.
altri
On the piece of
pezzi strappati
what you can see, a seahorse.
e poi, come potete vedere, un cavalluccio marino.
So having found all these objects, I put them together in this formal, sculptural setting. And once I had 4 sculptures, I sat down and I tried to figure out what they were telling me. So this is the detective's work. I have to figure out what they are.
E nel momento in cui ho preso tutti questi oggetti e ho dato loro la forma di un'installazione scultorea, mi sono dovuta sedere e fare come il detective, e cioè cercare di capire quale storia tutti questi oggetti mi stessero raccontando. Potete vederlo?
This is the mind map of anything and everything I can find out about these objects.
E questa è la mappa mentale che ho costruito di tutto quello che quegli oggetti mi dicevano.
How they relate that an anchor has got arrows, that someone between the wars selling goods was called a spiv, which is a sparrow, that the pop shield is there to not go, so arrow without arrow is arrow. It doesn't make sense, but it makes perfect sense.
No, non ha senso, ma ovviamente sì, è tutto perfettamente colmo di senso.
So there are many stories that can come out of this mind map. There are many, many links that these objects have with each other. And every performance is different because every performance links them in different ways.
E quindi ci sono molte storie, molti legami, insomma, che tutti questi oggetti hanno in comune e molte storie che possono emergere dalla loro relazione, e quindi ogni volta una performance diversa.
Sorry, Barbara.
God is watching us. God is watching us.
This makes absolutely no sense.
From a distance, oh, God is watching us.
But in a 1 hour script of text, it makes perfect sense.
E questo, visto così, sembra ovviamente del tutto, non so, anche privo di senso, ma nel momento in cui si scrive un testo che ha la durata di un'ora, invece ne assume uno diverso e una centralità, e solo un frammento è decontestualizzato.
We went from greasing a palm, as in corruption. You know, it's called to grease a palm.
Sì, è un'espressione figurata dell'inglese, cioè ingrassare, in quel caso una palma, si dice in inglese, per oliare, insomma, come si direbbe in italiano, insomma, alcune ruote in modo da far sì che qualcosa succeda, corrompere sostanzialmente.
From greasing a palm to Grease, but I didn't mean Grease, I meant the other dance film, I meant Dirty Dancing.
Da Grease, cioè che è il grasso, a Grease, ma no, non dovete pensare al film Grease, perché in realtà stavo pensando a Dirty Dancing, che però è un film sulla danza.
Because I had to paint the palm green because it was dry, so I had to actually paint some of the leaves green, which is what they did in Dirty Dancing because of a budget deficit. They had to spray paint the leaves green because they had to film in October or November.
Che è quello che c'è un motivo per cui pensavo a Dirty Dancing, perché anch'io ho dovuto dipingere la palma di verde, e in quel film i protagonisti si ritrovavano a fare la stessa cosa perché non avevano abbastanza soldi e insomma dovevano girare alcune scene, e pur essendo di fatto autunno inoltrato dovevano far finta che fosse un'altra stagione, quindi hanno dovuto dipingere tutto di verde e via di seguito. Cioè, in realtà potrei anche smettere di tradurre perché è impossibile.
So Dirty Dancing became Dirty Distancing, as in undancing, but also dirty distancing. The dirtiness of distancing in England, not even, you know, a few days before Brexit, really. A few weeks before Brexit, the dirty distancing.
E quindi il dirty distancing, cioè pronunciato in Inghilterra a pochi giorni da quella che sembra, insomma, sarà la Brexit, ovviamente assumeva tutto un altro significato, questo da dirty dancing a dirty distancing, cioè distanziarsi in maniera un po' sporca.
And even further distancing until the incontinent, I've got a remedy for that, are pretty once again. So the seahorse that is also in the installation, in Chinese medicine it is used against incontinence, but also incontinence is continence as in the continent versus the UK. So then Peter did a diss dance. His dance was a diss dance with a palm. I have the pop shield. The pop shield is so that this doesn't happen. This is part of the anchor sculpture. So, alma mater, pater, kid and daughter on the side of the good side, on the good side, palm off. Palm off is to pay someone off. Palm off with your backhand side. I don't like to be touched that way out, but at least we've got power and a huge deficit. As with Dirty Dancing, a huge Defi, sit down. Defi, sit down and let me talk you through taxation. Nation. The nation will be naught but a harbour, a haven. Your backs will be shaven and you will shave us off. Offer, offered, but refused. Used and returned, earned in ashes. And then Peter sang the song about the boat sinking on the last day of October, which is a song that exists. And so on. It's a 1 hour script that I'm not going to read, but this is how my investigation shapes up.
Ovviamente è un testo, come dicevo, della lunghezza di un'ora, quindi non posso rileggerlo tutto, però sì, sto facendo di nuovo il detective, cioè prendo dei piccoli indizi qui e là per raccontare delle cose del mio lavoro.
Does that make sense? Are there any questions?
Ci sono delle domande per caso? O, cioè, tutto questo è, come dire, del tutto privo di senso? O...
This is a piece I did last year at the Kunstmuseum.
Questo è il lavoro che ho realizzato lo scorso anno al Kunstmuseum di Basilea.
And it was called The Bigger Sleep.
Ed era intitolato The Bigger Sleep, che poi...
It's again the film noir reference.
The Big Sleep è il grande sonno, è sia un romanzo che un film noir, insomma una detective story. E The Bigger vuol dire il sonno più grande, insomma è un gioco di parole ovviamente.
So the big sleep is death. In the big sleep means death.
Nel libro e nel film The Big Sleep significa la morte.
And in a system of sort of continual growth, or the sort of imperative of continuous growth, well, where do you go from the big sleep? You have to go to the bigger sleep, to the biggest sleep. But the bigger sleep is in between, and it was meant to be a sort of purgatory.
In un sistema di crescita costante dove devi sempre, come dire, aumentare il livello dei tuoi obiettivi, non ci può essere solo il big sleep, ci deve essere il bigger sleep e poi il the biggest, cioè il più grande dei sonni. Ma quindi il bigger sleep era una specie di spazio intermedio, una sorta di purgatorio.
And I was a character called Frau Welt. Frau Welt is a medieval figure that is on the cathedral in Nuremberg, but also in other medieval illustrations. And she's beautiful and young from the front, and then she's shown from the back, and her insides are eaten with maggots and rotting.
Quindi il mio personaggio era Frau Welt, che è una figura che viene dalla scultura medievale, ce n'è una nella cattedrale di Norimberga, ed è una donna giovane e bellissima sul lato frontale, mentre su quello posteriore è vecchia, decadente, anzi mangiata addirittura dai vermi.
And she was a little bit modeled on Sunset Boulevard, the main character in Sunset Boulevard, who is a silent movie actress who doesn't realize or who doesn't want to see that her time is over. So this is sort of it's not the Ancien Régime because we're in it, but it is the kind of dying system that we're in that is so broken already that we are like her. We cannot see that we've already died. We cannot see that we're way past.
Frau Welt è ispirata tra l'altro a un altro personaggio che è la protagonista di Il viale del tramonto, che è un altro film ovviamente di ambientazione californiano-hollywoodiana, la cui protagonista è una vecchia e oramai al tramonto attrice del film muto che non si rende, come dire, non si arrende al fatto che il suo mondo, il suo sistema è un po' arrivato al termine e noi stessi viviamo in un sistema che è così, come dire, arrivato al punto di rottura da segnare delle evidenze, ma forse non ce ne rendiamo conto e a nostra volta cioè, pensiamo di vederci in un certo modo, mentre la realtà dei fatti è che insomma, forse non ci rendiamo conto che siamo già estinti o siamo già alla fine.
And usually my persona or my onstage characters are very frantic. There's like an excess of language and an excess of meaning. But for this, I wanted to illustrate, or not illustrate at all actually, but I wanted to get this mood of what I said earlier, anticipatory mourning or anticipatory grief. When you're in a state, when you're grieving the not yet there death of something.
Ok, di solito quando mi trovo insomma su un palco e i miei personaggi sono sempre molto agitati, sempre come dire se avessero un sovraccarico di parole, di significati, di cose da comunicare. E in questo caso invece mi interessava provare a mettere in azione quello che è una sorta di anticipazione del lutto o della perdita, insomma quello stato d'animo in cui si sa già che si sta per perdere qualcosa o qualcuno e si è già in qualche modo trasportati in quella dimensione.
And the whole piece was actually an investigation into, also for me, how it is that I can't be sad, or that I can't access my sadness, or that we can't access our collective, not sadness, grief, given that 60% of all species, have died, and we shrug. And I know this I don't want to be moralistic, but what is it that we can't tap into the tragedy and really feel it physically? It's a mirage of...
Mi interessava capire perché io non riesco, io individualmente, ma poi insomma perché collettivamente sia così difficile provare una sensazione non solo di tristezza, ma proprio di lutto, di dolore per il fatto che, per esempio, c'è il 60% delle specie sono già estinte o sull'orlo dell'estinzione, è una situazione terrificante, ma in qualche modo non riusciamo a vivere. We're not able to feel that loss. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Non siamo capaci di sentire quella perdita.
So before it existed, my aim was to make it pierceable, but of course it's impossible. So it had to, in the end, I was bathing in it. I was bathing in that feeling, and I was a very lethargic, grande dame, trying to have another drink, just trying to have another drink. And from time to time, dipping into hysteria, self-destructive hysteria, and from that, back into drink. But they weren't real drinks.
Okay. They were or they weren't?
They were not real drinks. My butler showed me and showed everyone how to look like you're mixing things up without mixing things up. There he is. This at the back is his bar. He goes to the bar and he mixes me a drink. He takes a little bit of bourbon, a splash of bourbon, a tiny little, well, I have to show you, in fact. Why didn't we go for the other one? How's independent of me, and I am completely background knowledge. I am talking about the mirror stage.
Sto parlando della fase dello specchio.
Because I am on the actual mirror stage.
Perché sono su un palco che è completamente specchiante.
So the mirror stage, I don't know if you've ever thought about that, but the mirror stage is the mire cognu of the child, when the child thinks they are independent, right?
Sì,
Lacan.
la fase dello specchio è quella della crescita di un infante, pardon, scusate, di un neonato, insomma, o comunque di un bambino molto piccolo nel momento in cui si rende conto di una parte di sé e in qualche misura scopre la propria indipendenza.
So my question to my butler was, do you think that we got into this mess partly because your neoliberal man was still in the mirror stage and thought that, he was independent, didn't need anything such as, big society, or that, he was his he was a self-made man. His profits were down to his own actions. Do you think this could have been, a contributing factor to the downfall?
Not dependent on it either, in any way.
And my butler says it's a little bit like me and my drink.
But you're saying men roamed the earth and were full of agency, yeah? And
Sorry.
okay, I've worked hard for this. This is sort of the self-made man, isn't it? The sort of American dream. I've worked hard for this, yeah? I deserve every penny I've got. Which means that if you haven't got every penny you need, you haven't worked hard enough, which also means you're completely denying your privilege, be it, based on gender, race, or class, or...
Stick to the script.
Okay. No, I'm not judging. I just want to say, do you think it could be, that they are still in this infant stage of actually looking at themselves and misrecognizing themselves as, sort of detached from the... Okay.
Seems that.
But then can I just ask you, so why, if we, we're... So in the times when neoliberal men roamed the earth and were full of agency, yeah, and autonomy, why didn't they do anything about it? This.
Stick to the script.
Why didn't they?
Well, it's a strange thing that, of course, the world being round and not flat, you can't see it all as a whole.
So are you saying the world as such couldn't misrecognize itself as full and complete? And so maybe this misrecognition, does this make sense?
It's always going to be broken and fragmented and incomplete.
Fragmented. I'm shattered. Okay. So, would you say, for the sake of analogy, in order to feel empowered, falsely feel empowered, but be empowered and do something, you need to have the misbelief of being independent of anything. Okay, for example, that carafe is...
Or this bottle.
Okay, this bottle is completely independent of me, and I am completely not dependent on it either, in any way. But you're saying we are still actually attached and one.
Yes. Related, fragmented, shattered.
It's fine. It hurts so much.
I'm outlining the patterns
In peace.
and tracing the contours.
Each time someone speaks.
Deliberating the exact tipping point to find the precise moment of total
I just don't
collapse.
know who's to blame.
So he eats the chalk.
I ask you to...
Now he's the inspector.
Adesso è lui, l'ispettore, con il
He's
gesto che
outlined the body.
traccia il contorno del corpo a terra.
Still singing.
Yes, we ordered the sovereign, it's over there.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that was the right decision.
So now he's going to the bar.
Why didn't we go for the other one? How's the investigation going?
How is the
Lieutenant?
investigation going, Inspector?
Lieutenant,
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant,
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant,
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant,
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, Lieutenant,
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant, Lieutenant. How's the investigation going?
Yes.
Have you got any clues?
Yep.
Have you got a suspect?
Yes.
Have you got a case?
Yep.
So, are there going to be any arrests soon?
Nope.
So basically, I had for this piece a mind map that didn't just have 4 sculptures, but 18 sculptures.
In quel caso non erano solo 4 sculture, ma 18. E avevo di nuovo una mappa mentale.
And it was, of course, not a script. I mean, I didn't have text like in the other one, but it was improvised around what the objects can do.
E non c'era un vero e proprio testo, ma veniva di volta a volta improvvisata attorno a quello che insomma, potenzialmente potevano raccontare gli oggetti.
Cherub?
So there it was the bar.
Take the Rapunzel from those in whose areas it grows.
The bar of discontent that he was at. No, it was the unjust bargain. The unjust bargain.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Bargain.
A bargain that is unfair, like Rapunzel.
Bargain è un affare, però è anche bargain diviso in 2 parti, che insomma, ognuna delle 2 parti ha un significato, messe insieme vogliono dire un'altra cosa, e questo poi fa fare un ulteriore salto mortale nella direzione di un'altra associazione libera dove c'è Rapunzel.
So, yeah, Rapunzel, I had a piece that had a golden, it had a copy of the Elgin marbles from the British Museum.
Era un pezzo dove avevo delle copie dei marmi del Partenone al British Museum.
And a golden piece of fabric that was plaited like Rapunzel's hair that was hanging down. So I tell the story about Rapunzel. So there are areas that grow nice things, and there are areas that don't grow nice things. And sometimes the people that are in the area where don't grow nice things want things from the area that grow nice things. And sometimes, in order to get to the area that grow nice things, those that live in the area that don't grow nice things have to cross a wall or a border to get to the area that grow nice things. So in Rapunzel, it was Rapunzel's father who wanted Rapunzel, which is a herb, right? It's a something to eat.
Allora, in questo pezzo con i marmi di Elgin, quindi del Partenone conservati al British Museum, c'era anche un pezzetto di stoffa dorata, insomma intrecciata come la treccia di Raperonzolo, credo che sia, e raccontavo la storia di queste persone che vivono da due lati opposti, insomma quella in cui crescono alcune cose piacevoli e quella in cui non crescono, e come a volte gli uni e gli altri vogliano appropriarsi di quello che sta dall'altra parte, e quindi il modo in cui debbano talvolta, insomma, trovare il modo di saltare dall'altro lato. E nella storia, nella fiaba di Raperonzolo, perché Raperonzolo è proprio un'erba, il padre di Rapunzel, Raperonzola, what does the father do?
His father crosses the wall, he crosses the border, and border control, i.e. the witch, finds him. He only gets the Rapunzel because his wife is pregnant and is craving the Rapunzel, so he's being a pretty good husband. But the witch catches him and sends him back to his country. Well, she says, you're going to be punished unless we're going to keep your child. So it's the classic children separated at the border situation. Sorry.
Yeah. Quindi nella fiaba cioè, il padre deve saltare dall'altro lato perché sua moglie, mentre aspetta la bimba, ha una gran voglia di mangiare quella cosa, quindi lui salta. Però la strega, che si occupa del controllo della frontiera, lo becca, insomma lo trova e gli dice: mi spiace, non si poteva fare questa cosa e ci terremo tua figlia. E dice quindi è un evidente caso di controllo al confine, e la storia di riferimento è ovviamente quello che sta succedendo ora al confine tra Messico e Stati Uniti.
So the child, once born, is captured. And so we go, this is the unjust bargain, a little bit of weed for a child. There are other unjust bargains, and Jack and the Beanstalk, you know, selling off your labor power in return for what?
E questo è un altro esempio di unjust bargain, cioè nel senso un affare che in realtà non funziona, perché nel momento in cui poi la figlia nasce verrà mantenuta in cattività perché sarà reclusa. E ci sono tanti esempi nelle fiabe, e non solo nelle fiabe ma anche nella realtà per quanto riguarda le relazioni relative al mondo del lavoro, per esempio.
Or, you know, trading your cultural heritage in return for, in the guise of science, the what's the word? Wait, I have to play it, I say it.
Those in whose areas it grows built a wall around it.
Anyway, I'm alluding to the Parthenon. And my butler says...
Okay.
Stick to the script.
And
he says, stick to the script. My butler says, it's not our fault if they lose their marbles. Which means it's not our fault if they go crazy, but also means it's not our fault if the Parthenon is lost to the British. And I say, liar. But I don't mean liar, or maybe I mean liar, but also the Elgin marbles that hang there look like a liar, like a lire, or how do you say? Cling, cling. I say cherub, as in angel, because he's up on the ladder as an angel before. But also chair up, so he gets up the chair to the lyre and gets down the lyre.
another example is, for example, the creative act, of removing someone's cultural heritage from its origin under the guise of science and taking it to your country and then refusing to give it back for 200 years. Cherub?
Well, you know, it's not really our fault if other people lose their marbles.
Liar.
Is it?
Liar. Get the liar. to fly. The moon has gone behind a cloud to hide its face and cry. I'm so I mean, to be honest with you, it is a bit of a problem, so I Googled it.
Right, so the problem is that I actually don't know how to cry. And I Googled how to cry because this is a separate story. There is a lake in the desert in California where 2 million fish die per day because it doesn't have a draining system, Salton Sea. And it was an investor's paradise in the 60s, 70s. It was the Riviera for LA. But because they forgot to put a drainage system in, it became extremely toxic and is now populated by, one of the poorest communities. This is what happens when you can't, get rid of the toxicity in a system of water. So I wanted to learn how to cry, to not be over saline like that river. So I have fish bones there in the circle under the ladder. These are fish bones from that lake, Salton Sea, it's called. And I Googled how to cry, www.wiki how to cry. And it tells you to drive yourself to a quiet place, a river or a lake, the sea, wherever you feel comfortable, and bring to the forefront of your mind just how good it could have been, if only. Really feel that loss, and then cry. And if that doesn't work, they have other options. You can listen to Adele, Radiohead, Leonard Cohen, Coldplay, amongst many others, and not to forget the saddest song ever written, I'm So Lonesome. I could cry, ironically. So then I tell the story of how the banks broke, the river banks, because of corruption. And that's how the lake came to be in the first place, and so on, and so on, and so on. I think I'll move to a different piece, maybe one last piece. Are there any questions?
Maybe not.
There is so much in my universe.
C'è così tanto nel mio universo.
And I can never explain it all
Non riesco
in
mai
language.
a spiegarlo usando il linguaggio.
But all these objects were used in the play in different ways.
E tutti gli oggetti sono stati usati nell'arco di quel.
And the objects came first. So first I was the investigator, finding the objects, trying to create some sort of mood, not knowing why or what. Then I put them together, and then I tried to make sense of them. And the sense that I made was this piece through a mind map like this a week before the opening, when the exhibition already stood. Then the content sort of sprung at me.
E ovviamente quando tutti gli oggetti sono stati assemblati, sono stata in grado di come dire, costruire delle storie all'incirca una settimana prima che aprisse la mostra, quando finalmente insomma, ho potuto vedere tutti quegli oggetti insieme e la mappa ha iniziato a prendere forma. E questo è un altro lavoro.
Do you have energy for one more?
Avete voglia di vederne un altro?
Cool.
Just
This
to say, it's 5 to 8, so
Yeah.
we have a little time.
5 to 8.
Yeah, this is what
Hallelujah.
my watch says.
This is an exhibition called Come Fresh Hell or Fresh High Water, and was also a reasonably dystopian situation in the viewing room of a blue chip gallery. I mean, a rather strange sort of luxury bunker.
Questa mostra si chiamava Come Fresh Hell, insomma è un altro gioco di parole sostanzialmente, come non puoi scegliere tra insomma, la padella e la brace. E si trovava nella viewing room di una galleria molto elegante, blue chip come si dice, ed era una situazione di nuovo un po' distopica e assurda.
I'll show you just a part of this one. Disillusion or delusion.
E ve ne mostro solo una parte che si intitola Disillusione o delusione, anche se la traduzione letterale è sempre un po' zoppicante.
So here, all the elements of the individual sculptures made a script. I didn't have a play for the whole room, but each sculpture was like a poem that was written through all the elements that are in the sculpture.
In questo caso il testo, lo script, non riguardava l'insieme degli oggetti, ma oggetto per oggetto ogni scultura diventava di per sé un po' come una poesia, in cui tutti i singoli componenti di quel lavoro dettavano quello che ci sarebbe stato poi nella performance.
No wishes for today, except to play it out and not become the fool. That's a quote by...
Oh, okay. I'm going to forget about it. I'll do another one. This is all. Yeah. Where's PowerPoint going?
PowerPoint.
There.
Because the full screen.
I'll read you a script from...
Ve lo leggo io, forse è un po' più facile.
from another play/exhibition that was called Producing My Credentials, and it was a gallery filled with black sand and objects in it, and it was very much about the empire. It was just after the Brexit vote, very much about nation making and nation breaking.
Subito dopo, insomma, i risultati di voto relativi alla Brexit, ho realizzato questo altro lavoro e c'era una galleria, era piena di sabbia nera, insomma, aveva molto a che fare con questa idea del fare o distruggere le nazioni.
And it worked similarly to The Biggest Sleep in that it was a space that the audience inhabited with me, and I improvised, or rather, I had a loose sequence or a loose, like a memory palace with the objects. I knew stories I wanted to tell, but not in what order.
E sapevo, insomma, era tutto di nuovo basato sull'improvvisazione, ma un po' con la logica dei palazzi della memoria, dove ci sono tante stanze, come in una sorta di palazzo mentale, e all'interno di ogni stanza c'è una storia, e poi devi decidere come collegarle.
So as not to be completely lost, and also because very often when I do that, it is improvised, and it can be good, it can be shit.
E come molte cose che ti succedono quando stai improvvisando, può essere fantastico, può essere un vero disastro.
Yeah. It really, yeah. And so just to, as a safety net for myself, before every performance, I wrote a piece of libretto so that I, for myself, know really all the little stories that it weaves through.
E così, come una sorta di rete di sicurezza, prima di ogni performance io scrivo quello che chiamo un libretto, in modo da non perdere il filo di tutte le storie che voglio raccontare.
But the libretto is nothing like the performance. Completely different, but it channels the same thoughts. So this is, I think, so for each performance, I reread the room and I rewrote a piece. So in the end, we had 5 performances and I have 5 librettos.
E ogni volta che c'è una performance riscrivo il libretto, quindi sostanzialmente ce ne sono sempre tantissime.
Watch out, this is a bad joke. My cholesterol was raised by wolves. I ate too many wolves. No, seriously. I love wolves, but I couldn't eat a whole pack. They clap. You say, this was just the beginning. You say, I am the pack. I am the all-in-one. Let's get to what it's all about. So I had actually a shrunken crisp packets of Whatsits. Whatsits, cheesy Whatsits are a crisp, an English crisp, really disgusting, really delicious. So to come to the pack of wolves was through the crisp pack, and to come to what's it's all about was through the name of the crisps. Anyway. And then you post the link to the Roadrunner YouTube clip. No, not like that. You post it properly so that people feel they are literally in it. So they feel the desert sand in their cracks. So they feel their limbs torn off by the one grenadine with a pink carry-on straw, please. I found a pube in the sand. Carry on. I put it between my teeth and I pulled. I pulled it out. I straightened it between my teeth by pulling. I left the grains of sand in my mouth as a constant reminder that you can or can't, because I haven't decided, unbend what's grown out wobbly. Shake back, shake head back and forth and left and right in one epic simultaneity and mouth nexus, next us. Next up is us. I say us. I call us what you'd call we. Not me, what you'd call we. Not me, I'm sorry. Nexus in the line, but the receptionist comes out with the oldest of jokes. My cholesterol was raised by wolves. Yet against Saint Long Wailing Hours. Saint Long Waiting Hours is the patron saint of selling off a full waiting room, and the receptionist comes out with the oldest of all patience. Folks, it's described best as, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait a bit, and you say, don't worry, kid. The desert is a vast stretch of land. It has always been vast. It can't be vaster. There is no vaster. And yet curiosity wins, and you nudge up a bit just to see the mushroom flop down in its entirety, because obviously things have to be seen in their entirety. It could result in the growth of an extra finger or two, but all the better for pointing out Out of the radiation zone, there is little danger. I am not affected. Shh. Shh is SHH is sonic hedgehog, and it's a protein that is responsible for the growth of an extra finger. I kid you not. So by the time the smallest work of art must separate itself from the world entirely like a hedgehog. So I had part of the installation was a sonic hedgehog, but it is also the protein. I didn't see it, the hedgehog. It's a separate issue. I didn't see it, and so I got hurt, and so we got hurt. And with a stung-through foot, I say, "Can the doctor see me now, please?" But I'm about to give away the punch. I'm about to give away the punchline. I'm about to give away the punchline up, so the nurse comes out with the oldest of all riddles. How can I afford to live? With the oldest of all stereoscope, with the oldest of all stereoscope is vast. So vast, you can't even see its edges. Doctor, doctor, there's an invisible patient in my waiting room. Tell them I can't see them. And here I am screaming, "But you can hear me though, you can hear me, can't you?" But then the lack of mountains and valleys makes for poor echo, makes for poor call from top to top, so we murmur from bottom to bottom and let the shouts happen in other parts of the strata. Off the strata we run, we are fast, we are faster, we are fastest. There is no fastest, there is no fast. Test the limits. Test the limit. It's better you stick to the structures you've been given, we disagree. We turn around, and those that said we must look petrified or vaguely annoyed, you never know if you don't try, and those that said we mustn't didn't expect us to regard the myth in the face. What now, boss? So as I was saying, we're legging it down the desert. We're legging it down the deserted corridors, round and round and round, and I wish somebody had told us this, that this hospital, this hospitality was spiraling out of touch with the price of a carton of milk. The bed, the tunnel, the bed, the tunnel, the bed spring, the bed spring. Spring it on me like saying, I haven't slept a wink at me for reasons far beyond me. I must not turn to look. We lost our marbles, but I must not look back and watch them roll off the cliff just in case they never left the exact spot I dropped them at. And also, how would you feel knowing it was never marble in the first place? Soapstone in the exact position where you dropped them and be happy you get paid at all. Okay? In the first place, soapstone them, stone them, not to death. Let's not get melodramatic, he calls out from his triple-glassed conservator. I tell you about the throwing of all curtains. Yes, the drawing of all potential stepping stones, because we're using this story as an ode on an continental and incontinentally shifting in its bed, an ode on a metamphora. There is something to be learned from past mistakes, the metamorphic rock, throws them into the belly of the wolf, and then throws the coyote with a belly full of pebbles out of the glass housing issues I was told not to mention again. So I'll address the trompe l'oeil. The grapes, too lifelike, the birds came picking. The bubbles, too lifelike, the cats came bursting. The tunnel, too lifelike. The tunnel, too lifelike. Life, like when you get the chance and then they... Like life, when you get the chance before the lack of mountains and valleys produced two other extremes called coyote and road run her over the rainbow. The rainbow is now fully deformed, he said. We said nothing. We were busy getting our shotgun out because when voices aren't heard, Doc, they aren't heard. He said, no, she said,
in the film, some place where there isn't any trouble. Do you suppose there is such a place to go, now, what, do, you, think, painful. Painful chorus. Howls from one throat. Pun. Shh, shh. Punch. Last line.
Was that the last line?
That is the last line.
Thank you.
And apologies.
Ci sono domande o ce le vogliamo fare a voce uscendo da poco di qua? Are there questions, or we can just keep on talking to each other on a more private level as well, walking out of here?
Is it a question? No.
No, then I think we can go. Oh, no, we can't.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was just curious to know if your talks are always like this. I mean, because it was clear that there was a lot of improvisation in this. And also about performances you showed to us, I was just curious to know what comes first, because at the end I didn't understand. So are you writing stories and then you find the objects to, to tell the stories, or there are stories before and then objects to illustrate these stories?
I have a lot of grievances, and they're always the same or similar, because I'm a very angry person.
Ho molte ragioni per lamentarmi, perché ovviamente sono una persona piuttosto arrabbiata e tendono ad essere, come dire, cose che si ripetono.
But at the same time, I don't believe in telling someone what to think. So first come the objects, completely free of any reading or any politics or any tied down meaning. They ooze meaning. And then I make the sculptures also free of any meaning, really, according to formal and material decisions. And then I look at them, and this is maybe the step that is actually not mine to make, but the audience's to make. And because I'm so micromanaging, I step in for the audience and read it for you. So they come last. I put myself in the seat of the observer and try and understand.
Quindi solo per riassumere, è come se molte di queste cose venissero da la mia urgenza di dire alcune cose, ma al tempo stesso non voglio dire agli altri che cosa devono pensare, e quindi sostanzialmente prima vengono gli oggetti, poi viene il modo col quale li assemblo in sculture, e solo a quel punto penso che siano in grado di raccontare una storia, ed è una storia che anche il pubblico potrebbe raccontare, ma a quel punto non riesco ad impedirmi di entrare in scena per raccontare io la storia che quegli oggetti mi suggeriscono.
This is my last sentence. The sad thing is that I found that once I read this, so my initial idea was, or not idea, but my aim was to show how much things mean, what a plurality of meaning there is in such, proposals or matter. But it turns out that the more I perform them, the less people actually read them themselves. And they don't even see them anymore, but just wait for me to come on stage and do my thing.
E quindi la cosa un po' paradossale è che in realtà sono carichi di significati e di storie possibili, ma quello che succede è che in virtù del fatto che ogni volta sono lì io a raccontarle, è come se la gente smettesse di vederli quegli oggetti o quegli elementi e si aspetti solo che io arrivi, insomma, o salga sul palco per iniziare a fare quella parte del lavoro.
So I decided to stop performing them.
E quindi d'ora in poi ho deciso che la pianterò di in qualche modo trasformarli in performance e you will let them speak by themselves.
Yeah, I made this decision yesterday. I might change my mind. But I feel strongly right now.
Ho deciso che d'ora in poi, insomma, saranno loro a dover parlare ed è una decisione che ho preso ieri, ma in effetti potrei anche ripensarci. Thank you, Sophie.